going on, world? It's the KayFabeyBaby NRW Ring Generals Podcast. Your boy Kuya P, and I'm joined by the NRW's trios champions. I've got first up the voiceover king, Zeke, DC Barless, Shaman.
Hey, hype myself up. Hey, you know, like a hype man. I love it. That's great. Getting your Samantha Irving on.
Hey, right? Love me some Samantha Irving, bro. Shout out to Ricochet. All right, and of course, my brother who's full of style. It's Webster Style from Sartorial and Geek. How are you, sir?
I'm good, man. I'm good.
Wonderful, man. It's a pleasure to chat with y'all both. Last week we talked Royal Rumble. We gave our predictions. It's the week after. Let's talk about it. What do you want to talk about?
What do you want to talk about?
Let's talk about what went down, man. We had some surprises, some not so surprises. I know I had a particular favorite Rumble of the two. And then we had like two other matches outside of that. Let's break it down. Let's start it off with the women's Royal Rumble, man. With the winner being Bayley, and I'm happy about that. I don't know about
we
y'all.
called it. We're all happy about that.
We called it.
Right?
We called it.
It's the right choice. In my opinion.
It was.
Like that's like you guys have been consistently doing damage control storyline shit. Like it shouldn't have gone to someone else. You know what I mean? It shouldn't have gone to Becky. You know, It shouldn't have gone to Bianca. Maybe Bianca, but at the same time, they weren't really doing anything to Bianca. Bianca's been a little too busy. We're doing some press shit for Love and WWE. So yeah, I think that was obviously the right choice. You know, it furthers the whole dynamic of damage control. You know, especially when Asuka came out and it was kind of like a weird team up situation, and Bayley was like, "Wait, what? Like, what are you doing here? Like, I thought this was my thing. Like, I was doing this. You wanted me to win this. Why are you here?
Right?
And you have a belt. Like, you have gold." So I really like the in-ring storytelling with that. Bayley's been really good with, like, you know, when they win, she's come up, she's trying to high five them, and no one high fives her, and she's just like, "Yeah," like it's really solid acting, and just like that body acting, you know what I mean? Like it's not necessarily talking, nonverbal, like the body movement, the body gestures and things like that. Like it's just very, very on point, very, very good. So yeah, I am curious to see. I know since you didn't watch Raw, she came out on Raw and pretty much was just like, oh, she's gonna make her announcement on SmackDown this Friday. Same with Cody. Cody was just like, "Oh yeah, I guess I'll make my announcement of who I'm fighting on Friday." Because I guess you missed it. Oh, we'll talk about that later. Anyway, but yeah, no, the women's, you know, I think the top moment for me was definitely fucking Jade picking Nia up and tossing her out.
I called it.
Like she lifted her up and did like the one arm fucking pose while carrying her. Like, man, like fucking jetpack rocket to the back of Jade. Like she looked amazing. Like no ring rust. Like everything. Like still the same moveset. You know, the pump kick and everything, and like same mannerisms and things like that. But like if it's not broken, don't fix it.
It looked better.
You know what I mean? It did. It definitely looked a lot more polished. You know, and I mean, you know, if she's been staying at the Performance Center for the past 3-4 months training nonstop, then yeah, it's going to look better. It's going to look better than training every once in a while at the Nightmare Factory while you're on the road with AEW, you know, defending a championship. When you are traveling, you don't really get a chance to train. So I definitely think these past few months have really helped her polish her skill set, her move set, like her mannerisms, like her poses, like everything. It ate. It really ate. Like, and I wasn't bored of it. I was like, man, I was excited for it. And then I had the Bianca, her and Bianca lifting up. I think she had Jade had Becky, and then Bianca had which other one? What's the white girl? Liv Morgan. There it is. And I don't know why she was number 30. Like, I'm sorry, I'm just not impressed. I live.
That was a throw off. That was a throw off.
Yeah, it was definitely
It was not who I was expecting.
Yeah.
No. And I was just like, okay, like you guys have so many heaters. But obviously seeing Trinity back was great. That was, the bomb. Obviously right here, Elton, like your cover photo right here, Jordan Grace popping out. Like that was just, man, there were so many people were freaking out on Twitter, like, oh, I need a Bianca and Jordan match, like there's so many cool like stare downs, man. It was just electrifying. And yeah, it was my favorite thing of the night. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think the women's match was the highlight of the night, personally speaking. That from beginning to end, it was just exciting and fun. I think for the most part, every competitor got a moment to shine.
Yeah.
I can't necessarily say that about the men's, and I'm not saying I didn't dislike the men's, but just the women's. There was such good storytelling in that match. Even especially, with the introduction of Jordan Grace, cross promotion storytelling as well. It was really well done, and it was a great way to start the show. Probably to a detriment of what came afterwards.
Yeah,
definitely.
And they also mentioned Naomi being a fucking former Impact champion.
Well, not just that. No, they named TNA Knockouts last year. Remember when Nikki James came?
Yes,
they just said Knockouts champion. They didn't even say the company name. They just said Knockouts champion. They said TNA Knockouts champion. Yeah, and they referenced TNA. I was like
multiple times.
Right. I was
with Jordan and with Naomi. Granted, Naomi wrestled as Trinity, but they were just like, no. Naomi was there, and she was TNA Knockouts champion until Jordan took the belt off her, and now they're squaring off again. And I was just like, bro, what? Like, that is crazy.
Exactly.
And,
exactly.
Yeah, like, and you got an R-Truth moment with Valhalla. That was great. Like, I fucking loved it. That was funny. And like you said, like there was just like a lot of good storytelling. They had like a Chelsea and Piper kind of moment.
That's Chelsea. Comedy gold, man. Yeah, they are so great.
Chelsea's so good. Facial expressions are just timed so perfectly. Like she's like such a goofy face. The only one thing I feel, I mean, we knew Nia was going to come in and wreck shit, and they're going to give her a bunch of eliminations and things like that. Whatever, the Kane effect. My thing, Maxine Dupree. I want to love her. I really do.
I feel you.
But it's rough to watch. Like, and I think I remember specifically, I forgot what kind of move it was, but I think she was going against Becky, and they did something, it got fucked up. Or it might have been Bailey. It was Becky or Bailey. I can't remember. And the move got fucked up, and you could literally like see them tie up. And whoever it was told Maxine like, "Let's do it again." And then they did it literally again right after, and then it went off. It was good. So if you're in a Royal Rumble match and you're botching, and someone has to be a leader and be like, "Do it again, do it again," just to get your morale up.
Mm-hmm.
I shouldn't be in that match.
Yeah, I think she was an odd choice. I understand the hype around Alpha Academy and everything and whatnot, but I really thought about it. Like, I don't think I'd seen her wrestle. Like, I know she's done some things on Raw. I don't think I've seen singles matches.
She had a couple of singles matches, and they're rough.
Right. So when I saw in the Rumble, I was like, I like her as a character. I like her character work.
Yeah. That's great. But like when people were just like, like the AEW stands are just like, Jade, it sucks, and that's why Triple H hasn't put it on now. Good luck. And I'm like, okay. And then like the WWE stands are like, oh yeah, she sucks. That's why we're not using her. And I'm just like, they literally put Maxine Dupree in the ring.
Right. Exactly.
What? Like they let Alexa Bliss be fucking champion, and she knew 2 moves. Like, come on, dog. But yeah, it's I don't know. But yeah, that was the only thing that really kind of was just like, everything else, chef's kiss. I loved it. Like storytelling, it was a very great match. But Kuya, how'd you feel? You're quiet, but I know you
No, you just kind of just went going. I'm gonna let you go when you go. But I want to throw it to Web Style. I was like, give me a moment. Let's go to the next moment. So Web Style, let's pinpoint just how powerful that was having TNA to your background, Jordan Grace, and getting eliminated by Bianca. There's so many dream matches from just watching everything.
What I loved about it, it didn't just job her out. No. Like they gave her spots, they gave her shine, and one of the things, and maybe this has kind of clouded my opinion of it, I've watched an interview or two of her afterwards, and she talked about the pressure of being that representative on her shoulders, and the fact that they chose her to be that representative. And it's weird because, backtrack, I'm gonna get to my point. I was watching TNA. TNA has been very good about, and I think I said this to you guys before, they're very good about putting out topical info or footage from their archive when key things are going on in other companies. Anytime Punk or anybody else, or Kenny or anybody who's like some big storylines going on, they put out, hey, they've been with us too, and they put it out, which I think is very smart on them online. But I forget about her transformation from 2018 to where she is now, and I forget. She it's amazing. I'm sitting there yesterday. I'm like,
crazy transformation.
Wow, I totally forget that transformation, and not just physically, but as a wrestler as well. Yeah. And me seeing that, I'm even more impressed with her being in the Royal Rumble. And who knows what's going to become of this, but I think it's more telling of, it's telling of two things. One, it's more telling of the drastic change that TNA is now as an overall company and how it's run and people behind it compared to where it was a couple years ago. And two, the attitude of WWE.
Yes.
More so than anything. And the fact that, we talked about The Rock being on the board now, the wrestlers are running WWE in many respects, just like the wrestlers are running TNA. And one thing Jordan talked about in one of the interviews, how there were so many people in WWE that she didn't know she knew. And it really tells you how, regardless of WWE has been in this walled garden, so many people have crossed paths and developed friendships and relationships. And that's something that Hunter understands.
Yeah.
And I think that translates really to how they're doing business. Now, are we going to see more of this crossover? Who knows?
I think so.
Hunter kind of took shots at Tony with that, the forbidden board door show. I'm not saying there's any. Did you see the press conference?
Yeah. No, I think H is just very much. He's old because you remember when he was also like, she has. I think he was talking about Jade. He was just like, oh, what's the kids say? The kids say now, like, she's just got that aura. I'm like, the kids, what the fuck? Like, people have been saying aura for so long, dog. Like, she just has an X factor. And I'm like, I think he's just such an old head in spirit. I think he thinks like things like the Forbidden Door and like terms like that are just corny.
Which makes
I don't
sense.
necessarily think that it was a dig at Tony. I literally think because this is also the guy who was just like, oh, I didn't know what Joshi wrestling was until like a year ago. And I'm just like, but like at the same time, I can believe it. Like, cause he's been WWE for so long, and he's almost like a sheltered kid a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, so he didn't get to go to New Japan. He kind of came straight from like bodybuilding and got discovered in the gym and went straight to WWE.
But no, he was WCW first.
He was WCW?
Yeah.
Triple H?
He was in WCW.
Really?
Yes.
Oh yeah, when he was terrorizing.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, I forgot about that. Oh my God, terrorizing.
I'll say this about this and then we can move on. But it's interesting. So many people who have deep connections in TNA are very prominent in WWE now. Look, Jeremy Borash is there. He's doing production stuff. I know Abyss is there. He's doing he's a producer. Petey Williams is a producer. People who have long roots in TNA. Who knows if this is really going to benefit? But one thing about too, and again, I'm not knocking Tony or AEW in this regard, but it's very interesting how when you had that working relationship with TNA or Impact and AEW, how basically realistically they shitted on Impact. The way they handled the title, everything was shitting on Impact.
Yeah.
It is amazing how WWE is literally the biggest wrestling company in the world and respected, arguably the champion, the women's champion from the number 3 organization, arguably, in the country. The fact that they show that kind of respect to her as an athlete and a performer and their title, more importantly, says a whole lot in how they're doing business from now on, in my opinion.
Yeah. And honestly, I think that in of itself is a shot at AEW. And I don't think it's Triple H. I think it's The Rock. If The Rock wasn't appointed to the board and like all the lawsuit shit was happening and Vince didn't resign, I don't know if this would have happened. You know what I mean? Like, I think there was a perfect storm that happened that allowed the people who wanted this to happen to make it happen.
Right.
And I literally think The Rock was just like, hey, AEW is doing their thing with New Japan. Let us do something with TNA. They just rebranded back to TNA. You know, let's do the thing. And then people get that dream match feeling from us and not just AEW anymore. So they are now taking that theology of a dream match, a forbidden door, even though Hunter hates the word. They're taking that theology away from AEW. It used to be you only got it at AEW. Now you're getting it at WWE.
Another point of that, TNA streaming app is done in partnership with Endeavor, the parent company of TKO.
Oh.
Yeah,
So
that's why.
I don't know if I want to give Rock credit because we don't really know, but because of TKO, there could be a lot of there's new energy in there. We don't know who it's coming from. We'd love to know who it's coming from, but I think it would be amazing. It's just such good feelings for the future.
Well, I'll say this, the last point, outside of the fact that it is a great time to be a wrestling fan, it's Endeavor is the parent company of TKO. They partner with TNA for their streaming service. Everybody wins.
Yeah.
More eyes are getting on TNA product, or they say, hey, what is this TNA? Let me go. Oh, let me subscribe to the streaming service. They get more money. That money probably ultimately comes back into TKO in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's a win-win for everybody in this regard, especially the way it was done.
It's cross promotion, but in the vein of you are your own competition and you are your own partner, essentially. So it's like their sister company is joining and you're promoting your sister company because technically they're under not the same you're under like the broad umbrella, not the exact umbrella, the tiniest umbrella of WWE, but you're under that Endeavor umbrella. So technically all the profits come right back to you.
Right.
You know,
exactly.
So you're making this kind of guise of competition, but at the same time, you're getting those dream matches now. Like you said, like Jordan Grace with Bianca, like Bianca hitting that KOD on that apron, man. Like that was intense.
Yeah.
That was an intense moment with both of them on that fucking apron. And she hit that fucking KOD, bro. Woo! I loved it. Yeah, this was great. And then her and Naomi hugging it out in the ring. Like, there's just so many good moments, man.
Yes.
And I could talk about it all day. I know we got to get through the rest of the matches, though.
Look, the pop in my living room when Jordan Grace came out, because I watched Impact this past week, and somebody watched it with me, so they were really impressed, and they loved Trinity and Naomi, and they were loving that whole Jordan Grace Trinity match. And when Trinity came out, they were excited. When Jordan Grace came out, they popped. They're like, "Oh my goodness!" They were so hyped for this whole match. They watched it from beginning to end. And it was awesome.
Buddy.
All right, before we slide over, again, I think we all consensus best match of the night, best Rumble of the two.
Yes.
I have to ask because there was also, and I think we texted each other about this a little bit as well. A possible vibe from me because y'all know I love me some Sasha. Possible entrant, we weren't sure. You know, we know that the big money's being thrown at her. And with it being said, you know, she didn't show up though. But it's in a stratosphere, all the amazing talent, female talent at WWE right now. How do you all feel about that? Are you happy she didn't turn out? But then at the same time, don't you, as much as we like AEW too, would that be a step down? Just real quick on Sasha, let me throw it back to you, Sean, and then we'll toss it to Webster style before we move forward.
What seems to be the running thing now, I don't know. I see it as a good and bad thing. Like, I really wanted to see her go against Jade. I really wanted her to pop up when Jade was back in AEW, and that didn't happen. Now Jade's back in WWE. Like, I feel like there's so many good stories left to told at the E for Sasha. But also, I mean, she just turned 30 or some shit. Like,
32 or something like that.
32. Yeah. Like, she's so young. Like, she has a lot left in her. You know, and I think about like what you could do at AEW. It's hard. You know, there's Paige, you know, Saraya, sorry. There's the DMD versus the CEO. So that might be good. But other than that, unfortunately, I don't see AEW having like that high of a status of like another women's wrestler to go against Mercedes. You know, you could argue Chris Statlander, but I mean, Chris ain't good on the mic, man. And like fucking Mercedes just want to eat you up. Mercedes will eat you up. Like, I don't understand. Like, no one's going to, outside of DMD, outside of Britt Baker, I don't think there's going to be anyone else that can go toe to toe with Mercedes on that fucking mic. There's no fucking anybody, nobody, nothing. And then you're going to be left with, you know, this one great storyline, but you can't beat a dead horse. So you can only drag it out for so long. And then what do you do with her after that? You just put her in a bunch of squash matches like you're doing with Joe right now. Like, it doesn't make, like, you know what I mean? Like, there's not that caliber, unfortunately, I think, at AEW. Wrestling, yes. But the promo, like the full thing, the full package, no. You know, so I see her going to AEW a year or two tops, and then she's going to come right back to the E. And it is what it is. That's her home. It's still going to be home. It's a CM Punk effect. Like, it's still home. Like, she left because she was mad about something. Now, so even, you know, we talk about how much has changed since CM Punk has been gone. Look how Sasha hasn't even been gone that long, and so much has changed. So much has changed in like the year and a half, 2 years that she's been gone. You know, and it's a completely different company. And now
isn't her husband still there?
Her husband makes outfits for the E. I don't know if he necessarily like I think he's kind of like contracted with them, not really like working for them. Because I know a couple of like the costume makers of like the New Day, for Seth and Becky, and they're kind of hired on basis from the actual people. Like Zelina goes to the same person, you know, on her own. You know what I mean? So it's not like the E contacts and it's like, hey, can you make this outfit for so and so? It's kind of like they're left to their own devices with that. So that's why it's kind of really telling when someone comes out in the same shit and it's kind of boring. So it just means they don't really care about their outfit and they're not going out finding people to make something cool, to be honest. But anyway, I digress. So I'm you know, I'm kind of happy I didn't see her because, you know, this allows other people. If Sasha were to jump back in, she would take over at the E. And there's other people that I think that they need to push and give shots to. So I am kind of glad that she didn't pop up, because it would have overshadowed all of this that we just talked about. And it would have been great, but like these other people also deserve shine. And I think if she goes to AEW, she's going to be the biggest star there. They're going to push her to the fucking moon. And I think she's going to get bored in a year, and she'll be right back at the E. And I'm sorry, like even with the dirt sheets talking about fucking not Alistair, fucking Malachi and fucking Buddy Murphy. Um, I it seems like the people from the E that leave get very bored because someone else popped up at the men's Royal Rumble from AEW. So it's all very telling. Starting to tell a very interesting story here. But yeah, that's how I feel about Mercedes.
All right, Webster Style.
Sean pretty much encapsulated everything, especially those last comments. I think that Mercedes, I'm disappointed she wasn't there, but I agree with Sean. She would have sucked all the air out of the Rumble. And that would have been what we were talking about. That would have overshadowed Bayley's win. That would have overshadowed Jade. That would have overshadowed Jordan Grace. All those great spots in the Women's Royal Rumble definitely would have overshadowed it. I agree with Sean. I'm not saying she wouldn't sign a long-term deal, but I really thinking I could see Sasha going to AEW a year or two. Being the biggest fish in a little pond or a slightly larger pond. But my concern for that is, can their creative really keep up with that? And that is something we've seen them stumble on time and time again with their creative, with their people who really should be big fucking stars. Period. They stumble time and time again. And Sasha, unfortunately, I think will be, unless they make some changes, and I've said before, the biggest issue is creative. The biggest issue with AEW, in my opinion, is creative and really having a cohesive vision. And that is something I think, in my opinion, they sorely lack. They need some real creative minds there, not just, and again, no offense to Tony, not just a wrestling fan. They need somebody really think long-term storyline who knows what they're doing.
Right.
So yeah, I just think that Sasha will be good there for a hot second, then get there, get her money, leave, and then come back to the E. But yeah, in general, disappointed, but I'm glad because all these other stories take prominence. If she was there, we'd be talking about Sasha returning.
It would just be additional story. I don't know if it would have overshadowed. It would have just made it more epic. I thought it was an epic Women's Royal Rumble, and it would just added to that thing. I agree with you. Storyline wise, creative wise, it might take longer for certain things. But good writers, and as much as we already see right now, they don't even get enough time. So I think it would help maybe even push the fold more that we need a women's show. Give them their own hour, 2 hour, or whatever. But let's keep it moving. There's more to talk on that. I'm now thinking Mania. If she doesn't go to AEW like is forecasted and all that millions, then pop back at Mania maybe then. But we'll see. I don't know. I love Sasha. So we'll see. And I agree with you. Even if she were to go to AEW, it wouldn't be that long. She need to go back home and with all her girls that are there right now. So let's head over to the Fatal 4-Way match, y'all, for the undisputed WWE Universal Championship. We all knew this was going to be the results, but any thoughts? Let me throw it to you, Webster Style. I'm going to go back to you. Roman Reigns, AJ Styles, LA Knight, Randy Orton. What do you think?
I didn't dislike the match.
Did you like the match?
I think that it takes all the fun out of it when I know who's going to win.
True.
And that was my biggest issue because I love some AJ Styles, I love some LA Knight. Randy's reign as a legend. I think everybody did their thing. I think it was somewhat predictable, especially Solo going in, getting involved. But him going through that, the wall was nice, and seeing Samantha Irvin's face and he bust through, like that was awesome. Like I said, I didn't think the match was bad at all. It was quite enjoyable. It's just that a lot of the element of enjoyment is taken out when Roman's winning.
Yeah. Okay. When it's too predictable like that, it's no fun.
Yeah.
And it was a forgettable match. I remember one time I think Randy almost won, and then that's when Solo or one of them pulled the ref out of the ring. And then also I remember AJ's the one that took the pinfall because LA Knight was over as fuck again, still. Like his heat did not diminish since the last pay-per-view. and they probably realized, hey, we can't make him take the pin again. So they made AJ take it, which is probably gonna, create more of a storyline, give him a bigger chip on his shoulder, you know. So that's okay, but it's still, like I might like that storyline with like a darker AJ, but did like, what I mean? We didn't need to wait a four-way to like further that story, in my opinion, and then make just such a predictable match, So,
Well, of course, it is a good way to get 4 of your top stars on the card.
That's true. And like when you only have two other matches outside the Rumbles.
Right. Yeah. It was a good way of doing that, even if it was forgettable. I just remember AJ Styles put Roman Reigns in a Styles Clash. That's all I really remember from it. And Solo going through the barricade. But yeah, like you agree. It was fun. It was like the wrestling wasn't bad. It was a fun match for what it was, but because of everything, it was largely forgettable. I agree.
Yeah. I think the most forgotten match to me, it's the fourth match of the night. So let's head over to, I think, the match that was actually a little bit better. Logan Paul, KO for the United States Championship. Shawn Mongold, I'm gonna start with you on this. You like the Roman match over this one?
Yeah, I mean both of them are forgettable. I mean,
true.
I understand. Like, I just hate Logan Paul, Doug. Like,
same.
And I was reading something and someone encapsulated it. Like he is an amazing performer. He's very athletic and it can be entertaining. And he's damn good on the mic too, because he runs a podcast. He talks. That's his thing. That's what he does. You know what I mean? Like he doesn't need any training on that. And like in the backstage, like performance center, skit that they filmed with them like going at each other, like it was good. But the thing is with me, like, I don't like that they had like I said, we talked about this last week too. Like all the titles are kind of tied up in these weird situations. And you kind of worked yourself in this weird corner of, okay, we want Logan Paul because of his following and he's an uprising star, but like who's going to beat him? They could have catapulted Kevin KO to the moon and given him the belt to go into Mania with the belt, but they decided not to. They're going to let Logan, someone who's only been wrestling for 2 years, go into WrestleMania with a fucking title. When you have your Ricochets, you have your Kofi Kingston out there fucking fighting. You have your Xavier Woods who's showing a new leaf. Like all these people who could be having the belt and then you give it to this guy who's not even there weekly. Like on Roman not there being weekly. Gunther's now not fighting weekly. All of them have fucking historic reigns. Like it's getting annoying. But another thing I read is, amazing performer in the ring. There's one thing that Logan Paul misses, and that's in-ring acting, selling. He doesn't sell. Like he sells and he oversells. He does the thing, but the thing is, he jumps right back up. So every time he's wrestling someone, if he gets hit with a big move, like you're supposed to play that you're hurt. You're supposed to act like you just got injured. If KO is power bombing you, you shouldn't just spring right back up and then all of a sudden you're jumping to the top turnbuckle in one fucking leap. You know what I mean? To display your athleticism. You're supposed to sell it. Oh my God, like he really hurt me. It's taken me, it's like really excruciating getting up this turnbuckle. And then you do your fucking frog splash or whatever the fuck you're going to do. And that is what, in my opinion, like I said, I read it somewhere and it just encapsulated it perfectly. I was like, that makes sense. Like he sells, he does like the overselling just like The Rock does, but then he's right back up. There's no more selling after that. There's like the initial sell and then he's back on his feet and it's like he never got hit. So it's just, he's still got things to learn, but he's champion. So it's one of those things like when you're in that ring, because like I said, I've done my match. I've done a couple matches and it's hard to remember those things. It really is. And like, I'm not going to say it's easy. It's fucking difficult. You're exhausted. You're under fucking bright lights in front of people. You got to remember all your cues, all your spots. You got to remember the sell. You got to remember to fucking face a hard count. Like, there's so many things that go into it. Like, I know it's difficult, but that's also why people have been doing it for fucking their life, for decades, not just 2 years, and then expecting the belt. So, yeah, to me, this is my least favorite match because of so many factors. I want more for KO. We'll see what they do. Uh, I guess come SmackDown. But yeah, I don't know where this goes. You know what I mean? Like, of course, everyone's like, "Oh yeah, LA Knight's going to go." That's like the dream match now. Is LA Knight versus Logan? He's going to win the belt off Logan at WrestleMania. But how do you get there? We'll see.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe it works.
All right, Webster Style. What do you think about the KO match?
I agree with Sean. This is my least favorite match of the night. I just think that I agree with Sean as my least favorite. I disagree as far as they should have put on KO. I knew from the beginning that KO wasn't going to win. Logan's going into not Royal Rumble, WrestleMania, simply because he's Logan Paul. And they're trying to get more eyes on the product at their biggest spectacle of the year. And that, in turn, whomever he faces and whomever beats his ass at WrestleMania, which could be KO because it looks like they're still continuing their storyline based on how things ended at Royal Rumble, that will put that person into a different, hopefully, stratosphere because they beat Logan Paul on the biggest stage of them all. So that's the way I see it.
Yeah, I gave it the edge for me as because I couldn't recall the Roman match that much. To be honest, it was that forgettable for me. Unfortunately, I like the wrestlers, but I think what I liked so much about the KO match is they brought back the whole little subplot of the brass knuckles.
Yeah.
And then we got that nice camera shot of the ref seeing the knuckles on KO.
I do like that.
That just made sense, and that made it memorable, which gave it the edge for me. Both, I matches, but yeah, that's what set it apart storytelling wise.
That's a very old school thing to do, and I like that. I did like that.
Yeah. So that's why I gave it the nod. But let's head over to the final match of the night, the men's Royal Rumble. There's some moments overall, but let me swing it back to you guys again because I want to hear from you guys, and I've been talking all day. That's why I'm like in the cut. Webster Style, what were some of your favorite moments, and then we'll toss it over to Sean with his moments.
Overall, I enjoyed the men's match. I think it was slow in times when it could have sped it up a little bit. Sean alluded to this earlier, the return of Andrade, and he came out as the music said Andrade El Idolo, and I'm like, wait a minute, what? That's not his old music. I was like, oh snap. And I see they're just referring to him as Andrade, not Andrade Cien Almas or what have you. I like that. He looks like where he's supposed to be, honestly, being back in WWE. As far as the overall, I think for the most part, there was pretty good storytelling. I like the whole exchange between CM Punk and Drew. I like how that turned around. I'm not upset Cody won. The person in my house is a humongous Cody Rhodes stan, and they were just jumping. And I was looking yesterday and looking at my video, that video from them last year, jumping up and down, and Cody won. So I wasn't upset with it. Again, coming after women's match, I think overall it was just slower in places. It wasn't as fast paced, and it was just too much downtime. I can't say there were, in my opinion, as many memorable moments as the women's Rumble either. I'm sitting there thinking like, okay, who came out? What really happened? And we're a couple days removed, and I'm sitting there thinking, okay, the R-Truth thing and JD McDonough, Cody. Really, the ending is what I remember the most of all. Anything else after that? Because I don't think outside of Andrade, I don't think anybody in there really surprised me. Oh, and maybe what's his name? Ludwig Kaiser. His reaction to them brawling, AOP and Last Testament brawling, like his face was priceless. I thought that was so funny. So I do remember that, but that's about it for me. Like I said, it was enjoyable. Just the women really just did the damn thing.
True. How about you, Sean?
Man, it was hard. You know, like obviously when we talked, like, we talked like we're psyched about CM Punk, hoping he'd win, blah 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 blah. Obviously it didn't happen. I'm happy for Cody. Obviously CM Punk is injured from Drew McIntyre, which I think it's a work. We'll see what comes of that. We'll talk about that shortly after, but I'll get through the rest of my thoughts of the Rumble. Yeah, I did like the one thing I did like is they didn't waste any spots with like any like legacy, like old school fucking people coming through.
Both.
Yeah, both. And it was something that historically that they've always done that.
Yeah.
The one day, they did have Pat McAfee jump in and then he just like
that was
jumped out.
awkward.
That was very weird.
Yeah.
And kind of a waste of a spot when guess
Yes.
what? Guess who was not in the fucking Royal Rumble?
Right. That's
Who
what I
should have
heard.
been? Fucking Ricochet. Ricochet was nowhere to be found.
He was at the end.
No. He never showed up.
Ricochet never showed up, dude.
He was
Ricochet
never
not in it. I was like, what the hell with that? It's almost like they did like certain things to cover.
Yeah, he did.
He did. Damn.
Yeah. I was like,
Really?
he came in toward the end. Yeah.
Man,
That's how forgettable it was then. Shit.
Yeah, man. I was just, I was looking and I literally looked through the names before I said that, and I did not see his name.
He was like in the 20s, like 25 or something like that. He was
like
down.
28.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Dude.
Yeah. So, oh my God, I did not remember that at all. Yeah, I just, we were going to get Brock as like the one return, but obviously all the lawsuit shit that happened Friday, they nixed that and they gave his spot to Braun Breaker. They gave him a good showing.
Yeah, he did a good job.
They literally gave him Brock Lesnar's role, so he just fucking came in and wrecked house. That was pretty cool. Didn't really get a cool Kofi spot. Kind of mad about that. They haven't given this to us in the past couple of years. Kind of weird.
I wasn't. I know they tried last year and it failed. I wasn't because it wouldn't have seemed as genuine if they tried again this year, in my opinion. And when he got eliminated, I was glad they didn't do any sort of shenanigans because it takes away from the perceived spontaneity of it, in my opinion, just as my opinion. So I was happy about that. He got eliminated. Okay, cool. That sucked.
I popped for it. So. I just love goofy shit. Like when R-Truth came in, I thought that was fucking great. When he was like trying to get tagged in by Tom and Nick, like it's just, like that shit pops me. I fucking love it. He was in both. He was the only person to be in both Rumbles of the night. Like it's so fucking funny. And I just, I don't really remember any other like interesting square offs outside of that. I don't, and like even what Andrade did was kind of not memorable. Like,
yeah, exactly.
There wasn't any cool, interesting. I think there was one cool spot where like Santos and Andrade kind of Santos tried to do the fucking what you call it, Los Ignorables, and Andrade was just like, nah, dog. So that's the one thing I do remember. So obviously they have stories for Andrade prepared coming up down the line. But yeah, I mean, it was kind of structured the same as last year, except for Cody came out first this time, I think, right? Was Cody first?
No, Usos were first.
Yeah.
Oh, so we didn't even acknowledge that. We didn't acknowledge the bloodline. What did we think of that 1 and 2 at least
Jimmy
glimpse to an eventual WrestleMania?
I enjoyed
match?
it, but it was a Royal Rumble, so it wasn't.
Yeah.
Was a lot of emotion in that for me because it was a Royal Rumble. But it was a nice little nod to things. And again, we talk about the storytelling that WWE continues to do and does in a very good way, even in a 30-man Royal Rumble.
Yeah. So I just, it was a couple cool moments, but it was pretty forgettable, in my opinion. So yeah, that's how I feel about that.
let me tell you who I'm disappointed wasn't there, because I was waiting for this, especially after what happened on SmackDown. No Trick Williams.
Yeah.
I was surprised they not pull out Trick.
When I heard the Brock Lesnar shit and he might not be there, I thought they were going to give the Trick, because he that fucking whoop that Trick chant on SmackDown the night before.
That was
Holy
crazy.
shit, I did not know he was that over. And I'm pretty sure. And I think
you haven't been watching NXT. My man.
Oh, no, but still, NXT is one thing. SmackDown is different to have that crowd saying "whoop that Trick."
Yeah, like, because like a lot of the normal
Normies,
main event watchers, main card watchers do not really watch NXT. So like to hear that happen, it was confusing to me. And I read dirt sheets. People backstage were like, "Whoa!" Like, we didn't realize. Like, so I think they're gonna be calling him up in the next month. I think he's going to be in WrestleMania because he's that over. I don't know what they're going to do. Maybe that will be the big, fight between him and Carmelo.
That storyline is between the two of them are coming together right now.
Yeah,
and
I don't know what it is.
Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, so especially with everything's happening at the next what is it, Vengeance Day or whatever it is?
Yeah, next week. This weekend.
Tag team match, him and Carmelo versus Braun Breaker and Baron Corbin. And he also has the championship match with Ilya Dragunov as well.
I think that's what's going to cause the Ultimate Finals.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's and that's perfect to lead into WrestleMania.
Can I give an opinion?
Yes.
I don't see it for Carmelo. I don't know what it is. Like, he's an amazing performer. I don't know. There's something missing, and then you have Trick right next to him. Like, that's a fucking star. It's just I hate saying it, but like every time he comes on, I'm like, oh, this is probably gonna be fun. But like, I'm not hyped when I see Trick. Like, I'm not as hyped as when I see Trick. You know what I mean? Like, he's got the saying. Like, Melo doesn't have anything. Like, Melo don't miss. Like, that's a basketball thing. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Like, I can't. You know what I mean? I don't know what it is.
He's got it. The brother's got it. What needs to happen? What I think he's been a face for a minute. That essentially the Melo don't miss is a face type thing right now. What I think will turn it is for him to be basically to pull heel, and I think losing the Trick at Mania. Turn him heel, it'll be like, they're quote unquote like the Rockers, if you will. Like, let him have his Shawn Michaels moment, Marty Jannetty and Trick, you know what I'm saying? Have that heel moment.
Who do you think turns heel though? Because like
Melo needs to be a heel. Melo's
but the thing is, since you didn't, I don't know if you saw SmackDown, but Carmelo lost to whoever the fuck he was fighting. I forgot. Fucking Austin Theory, I think it was. And he was getting beat down. Trick came out. Everyone's cheering. And, like, they both standing there. And Carmelo goes to dap him up. And Trick was just like, nah, dog. Like, why I got to save you all the time?
I think that's what we're building. We're building the story.
I know, but, like, that to me makes it seem like Trick's the one that's probably going to turn on him. So, therefore, Trick.
To just be done with the shit. Because they were... in all places, sorry, I'm sorry, because I've been watching a lot of NXT along with Eldon.
Right.
It's been like a slow roll that just Melo uses that motherfucker. I think we're finally seeing Trick saying it's enough, and that's what's gonna put it over. Then we're gonna have them, they're buddy because this whole tag team thing, it's not gonna come together. Melo's gonna get mad. Then we're gonna finally have this matchup. Okay, let's prove who's the dude. Still / maybe friends, but not really. And then we really got to turn him heel with him losing it at the final thing. Or Melo wins against Trick, but by doing something really heelish to win the thing. I think that's just writing wise. I think Melo's got the mix. Both of them stellar athletes, stellar performers.
Yeah.
I think both of them are really good. I can see your point if you haven't been following it too much with Melo, but Melo's the truth.
I can't like I said, like, amazing athlete. I love watching him in the ring. Same thing as Ricochet. Love watching him in the ring. But there's something's missing for me.
I think it's the Ricochet thing too. Like Ricochet's phenomenal, but he's not good on the mic. I think you might be seeing kind of how I felt about Ricochet, and then after a while, then like there's that part. That's what but no, I think Melo's got the package. It's just not in the character at the moment. Well. I don't want to keep because there's other things. I'm sure.
I'll say this though about that, and I'll be brief.
Yeah,
I understand where Sean's coming from. One of the things I thought about Melo now, and I don't know if this is by design, and I think part of it is, I feel like he's lost some of his luster because I saw that star shine and it was going up, and his character's even a bit different now since he lost the title and since he's not even in the title picture. There is a luster that is lost. So I can definitely see Sean in what you're saying and how that is in some degrees true based on the way the character is going right now. But I feel like there's some luster that is definitely lost. But I agree with Kuya down there that I think he has it all. I just think this storyline is not shining him in the way that potentially, and it is purposely put in the shine on Trick.
Yeah,
as far as to put him over even more, as so that's my opinion on it.
Okay, yeah, I think we all agree. Yeah, but just to give you just added, like I understand what you're saying, and I can see what you're talking about, but like I just think that there's a reasoning there.
Yeah.
To what? Yeah. But and before we move on, because there's a couple more things, and I think there was some other dirt sheet stuff that we quickly wanted to bring up real quick, but. NXT stars, you brought Braun Breaker who filled in for Brock, made to shine there. We would have loved to have sent Trick, but forgot about this when we were doing the women's stuff because you guys were rolling on that. But
Tiffy time.
Did Tiffany not shine? And
yes,
I don't know if you've seen enough of her, Sean.
And Roxy.
I actually want to hear what you think. Me and Eldon know how much Tiff is a superstar. Yeah. What did you think of her performance as a non-Tiffy person?
It was definitely flashy. It was definitely memorable, but I remember watching her kind of go around the ring, and I remember looking at Maki, looking at my wife, and being like, "You can tell this is like one of the girls that like WWE scouted, like one of the cheerleader girls that wasn't really a wrestler. You probably didn't want to be a wrestler, but we're like, hey, you could probably do this thing because that is what they started doing years ago." And it's really funny because like I follow a lot of like workout influencers, like a lot of lifting influencers now. And there's like a couple of girls who have been like flown out to the performance center, that I follow. And a couple guys too, actually, now that I think about it. And they have never posted about wrestling a day in their fucking life. But they have numbers and like they're cut the fuck up, they're muscular. And like they just go and do like a tryout. It makes me feel away. So like when I see Tiffy, I'm like, I know she probably never wanted to be a wrestler. Now granted, yeah, people's dreams can change and everything like that. So I'm trying to get the benefit of the doubt. So I was surprised. It was very clean. She hit her marks. She got it. The crowd was over. Yeah, so I mean, I was impressed. Like it was a good showing. But yeah, it's just like the white girl blonde hair thing. I'm always going to look at it with a subjective eye. Like
I understand that. I understand that. I respect that. I definitely see what you've been seeing in regards to how there's different that. I think having become a fan and following her now, she's been putting in the work. Definitely been putting in the work. Ludwig Kaiser is her man.
Yeah.
They've been putting work together, man. I think there is a respect there that might not have been there at first, like you said, because we all know the history of WWE, but I think when you see it kind of change over time, I think there. But but I think she's definitely proven herself to kind of move up. But there's a lot of people that are great right now that she is not going to shut
Roxanne
down.
Perez in there too. She was in the Rumble.
Yeah.
Did her
so
thing.
to you, Eldon, what did you think of them? Beyond Tiffy and Roxanne coming up.
Those are. We've talked before about how stacked NXT is as far as the women's roster is concerned, and if you're going to bring two people for the ring, run that back. If you're going to bring two women up for the Rumble, those are probably two of your best options to really show off what NXT women can do. And Roxy is, or I keep calling her by her RH name because I just like it so much. I think it fits her more than Roxanne Perez, but Roxanne Perez is like, she's a prodigy, and she really is, and she shows it all the time when she's in the ring, and I'm always so impressed. And Tiffany is exactly a future superstar. Is if you say WWE is going to make a brand new female superstar, she would be the cookie cutter model for what it would be.
Who's that?
Tiffany.
Yeah, because she's white and blonde hair.
Yeah, exactly. But she can wrestle. She can move in the ring.
Yes,
and that is,
I do appreciate
definitely
that.
better compared to some others who fit that we've talked about before.
Oh yeah.
All right. So there we go. That's our Royal Rumble thoughts. But there's some stuff going on in the dirt sheets. Sean, I know you had a few, man, before we get up out of here. Let's chat a few of those up before we bounce out.
I mean, there's so much shit happened. Oh my God. The Vince shit, the allegations, Brock dropping out, the name being dropped, like him resigning, like that shit was crazy. Dirt sheets with I think Dave Meltzer was spreading some shit that like Malachi and fucking Buddy Matthews are getting tired of AEW, and like, how can they tell stories if they don't want to lose? And then like Buddy Matthews retorted it and was like, here's my record for 2024. And it's like 1-3 or like 1-4. Like he's lost like 4 times. And he's like, well, you guys don't like getting pinned. And Buddy's like, I get pinned at like every trios match. So what the fuck? But honestly, like, I could see them getting tired of AEW because I'm sorry, like, they were a dominant force and they kind of squandered that for the comedy act and Acclaimed. And I love Acclaimed. I love that I love their antics. I love their promos. I love their in-ring work too. But I think there was still more life in House of Black, and then they kind of just fucking squashed it for no reason, and they never really gave them an opportunity to get it back. You know what I mean? And now they're just kind of like keeping it on the Acclaim because of these specialty belts. And now they're teamed up, and now they're like a super faction with the ROH trios champs. And yeah, man, and I love that. And they're trying to sell merch, but like, you're doing this in a way that's like you're kind of ostracizing certain people who bust their ass. So I wouldn't be shocked if they too are leaving and come back to the E, unfortunately. But we shall see. One other thing I kind of wanted to bring up is the CM Punk shit. I'm sorry, I think it's a work. I think the injury is a work. Like, he came out on Raw, if you didn't watch Raw, and he had his arm in a sling. It's also in a giant sleeve, like a compression sleeve thing. And he cut a promo and tears in his eyes and, doing the whole thing. And then Drew comes out, and then they get into a fight as he's in a sling, and he starts punching with that hand. And then Drew rips the sling off and then stomps on his arm and shit like that. And I feel like when you tear your tricep, like you get bruising right here. Like it gets bad. Kind of like Cody's pec tear, where it was just like giant purple up like in the arm, shoulder, and pec area. Like it just bruises all around the muscles, not just the tricep, right? If you really wanted to sell that as if it was a real thing, you would not have had that sleeve on him so that people could actually see the bruising. I think they were hiding it so that people couldn't see, so you don't know. But also, this man just stomped on his fucking arm, and he was throwing punches with the arm. I'm not saying that you can't do it. It's probably excruciating. Cody fought with an actual torn pec in the Hell in a Cell. Amazing match. But I think this is a storyline because it's also the same arm that he injured in AEW, so it's kind of believable, like, oh, he injured it again, but I think it's all kayfabe, like, you know what I mean? Like, I think And like rewatching like that Future Shock DDT that Drew did to him, like he didn't land on it weird. He kind of like hit his elbow on the mat, but his knees hit first. So I don't know, man. I think it's fucking work. I think this man's still going to show up at WrestleMania, and I think something's going to go down. I think something's going to happen. So I'm curious. That's what I saw. And then, yeah, I mean, other than that, I mean, Dirt Sheik's talking about Jordan Grace and how she had a great time at the E and how she was like, well, like warmly received. And, she's also tweeting at Naomi saying, like, see you again, soon.
Right.
So
yeah. Saw that.
I mean, who knows what that could mean? You know what I mean? Like that, like if they have someone from Impact at WrestleMania, bro, that would be fucking insane.
It's a whole new WWE.
Yeah. And then also, I don't know if you saw Kuya, but on Raw, it's now officially Pat McAfee and Michael Cole, like permanently. Leading into the Netflix deal, I'm assuming, and then Wade Barrett.
So relatable, man. Like you could see he's a fan first.
Man, he was fucking up on Raw, dog. He was just
I heard.
Football god. I mean, the wrestling guy. I was like, bro, he's got football weight. Like, it's
true, but he's a fan though. You can
feel
it.
I know. I love his energy. I do love the man. But and one other thing I want to say, we had predictions about Rock and Roman coming at WrestleMania. I don't know, man. I listened to a couple of podcasts and people are right. Like, I think they dragged that out to the first episode of Netflix Raw next year. The day one, Netflix episode. It's probably going to be beautiful. Roman Reigns versus The Rock, and that will just continue that hot streak. I think I don't think Roman necessarily needs that belt.
No, he doesn't.
Not for that.
I really hope they let Cody finish his fucking story.
I need them to let him finish the story because they can tell that Rock story without the belt.
Yes, right. Exactly. But I think if they want Roman to beat Hulk Hogan's record, he has to hold it past WrestleMania.
No.
We don't care.
Yeah. I know we don't care, but they put this man on every
and I love Roman too. Like, don't get it twisted. I love this bloodline shit. I'm a fan of Roman, man. But no, for wrestling, I need it not to be there to make other things progress.
I thought you said I love Hogan at first. And
no, Roman.
That's my face.
Don't get that twisted.
What?
Yeah. No, I love Roman, but for the sake of wrestling and Cody's storyline, and for other storylines, like we said, these guys don't need to hold. We need to have these belts moving around.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's wrestling. Belts move around. You got to move it around.
Yeah. That's my thoughts on it. So,
thank you, Sean. Appreciate it, man. Website, any final shots out before we get up out of here today?
No, just say it again. It's a great time to be a wrestling fan.
It is. I'm excited, man. Gentlemen, always a pleasure chatting it up. Royal Rumble, Cody, Bailey. I think the two people that needed to win it, to be honest.
I agree.
Yeah, so let's see what's going to happen next, man. I'm excited. Let's get up out of here. Geek Classique. Sean, what's up with that?
2 weeks. 2 weeks away. Yeah, so I mean, obviously burlesque, classy, nerdy, fun burlesque stuff, doing like the Valentine's thing, the classy jazz speakeasy vibes. Yeah, if you want to check it out, go on Eventbrite, type in Geek Classique 2 and you'll find it at DC Brow here in Washington DC, the longest running brewery in DC. So it's a fun old time. We have about 8 shows coming up this year there, all different themes. So it's gonna be fun. So I can't wait. Yeah, super excited for it.
Dope. Webster Style, what you got going on at Sartorial Geek?
Pretty much daily videos from the Washington DC auto show dropping right now, like daily. I think videos got up until next week. Dropped 2 interviews today, one with Dr. Erin McDonald, who is the science advisor on Star Trek, basically. She's there in support of Farpoint Convention, which is happening February 9th through the 11th up in Pikesville, Maryland. Then also a full interview with author Cassandra Charles, who both Kuya P and I interviewed back up in Jersey at Exotica. We talk about Joyride, Jamie Reynolds Chronicles, and all the other wares from there. And then I think this week as well, Game Bites will be on Persona 3 Reload or whatever it is. And might be some other things coming too, but it's a busy week.
All right, there you go. Mad love to my boy Sean Webster Style. Check him out, y'all. All of the links will be in the description. Go shoot him some follows and just come out, man. If you can, check out their events and listen to everything my man Webster Style got on YouTube as well. Good stuff. All right, y'all. Your boy, I was about to say, I don't know what I'm about to say. I can't even talk right now. The Legend Kuya P, man. That's me. Everything you on the channel and I'll dub. Everything's up on there. I'm putting in work like my man Webster Style, trying to be like him. Got so much stuff going on. It's there. Check it out. Watch it. Follow it. Let us know what you think about the Rumble. Comments below. Let's talk about some things. I'm sure we could go even longer. I think we could have done the whole episode just on the women's Royal Rumble.
Yeah, really good.
Good time to be a women's wrestling fan, and that is me.
Yep.
I love it. Yep. Can't wait to talk about it more, guys. Let's get it on next week. Until next time, we're out of here. And in 1, 2, 3.
You come in my face, I'm gonna fight you.
Well, you're not gonna bust a nut anytime we're in the ring.
I'm gonna get off by cranking your knob just a little beyond the breaking point.
When I get my hands on you, I'm gonna eat your ass like a pot of collard greens, baby.
I'm gonna stretch his ass like it's never been stretched before.
You can hide behind that commissioner's stuff just so long until I jerk a knot in your ass.
And if you don't think I'm big enough, then you grab a hold of me, and you'll know that I'm growing, my man. Within your hands, I will get as big as I need to be to do the job on you.
All right, just jerk Helmsley off.
There's one part of our bodies that's soft, and it ain't soft all the time, if you catch my meaning.
I'm gonna come on you like nobody's ever come on you before. Just you and I getting it on like 2 men should do.
Oh, that fits right.
Corey boy, I'm coming hard.